In this video, we are going to do some more examples of simplifying fractions using divisibility tests. Our examples this time will involve fractions that may take more than one step to simplify. The simplified form of a fraction is a new fraction that is equivalent to the original fraction and has the smallest possible numerator and denominator. To simplify a fraction, find whole numbers that divide evenly into both the numerator and denominator. If you need to review the divisibility tests, click on the link above for a video. Consider the fraction 132/60ths. First check 10. 132 does not end in a 0, so it is not divisible by 10. We don't need to check 60, since we need a number that divides evenly into both 132 and 60. Next check 5. 132 does not end in a 0 or a 5, so 132 is not divisible by 5. Once again, we don't have to check 60. Now check 2. Both 132 and 60 end in a 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, so they are both divisible by 2. Dividing both by 2 gives 66/30ths. Is that the simplest form? We don't have to test 10 and 5 since those tests failed the first time, but both 66 and 30 end in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, so both are divisible by 2. Dividing both by 2 gives 33/15ths. Are we done? As before, we don't need to try 10 and 5, but we do need to ask ourselves whether 2 would work again. But 33 is not an even number, so it is not divisible by 2. We need to apply the divisibility test for 3 to both 33 and 15. We need to add up the digits. 3 plus 3 is 6, so 33 is divisible by 3. 1 plus 5 is 6, so 15 is also divisible by 3. 33 divided by 3 is 11, and 15 divided by 3 is 5. This gives us 11/5. From here we can see that there are no other numbers that divide evenly into both 11 and 5, so 11/5 is the fully simplified form of 132/60ths. As a final example, consider the fraction 28/70ths. Since only one of the numbers in the fraction ends in a 0, we know that we cannot divide both numerator and denominator by 10. Since only one of the numbers in the fraction ends in either a 0 or a 5, we know that we cannot divide both numerator and denominator by 5. But both the numerator and denominator are even numbers, so we can divide both by 2. This gives us the simpler form 14/35. Is this the fully simplified form? Well, the divisibility tests for 10 and 5 failed the first time, so we don't need to try them again. 14 is even, but 35 is not, so we cannot divide both by 2. Let's try 3. 1 plus 4 is 5, so 14 is not divisible by 3. There is no point testing to see if 35 is divisible by 3. If the numerator is not divisible by 3, it doesn't matter whether the denominator is divisible by 3, since we always have to divide both numerator and denominator by the same number. So, maybe 14/35 is the fully simplified form. But, unfortunately, it isn't, because both 14 and 35 are divisible by 7. 14 divided by 7 is 2, and 35 divided by 7 is 5. So an even simpler form is 2/5. There is no simple divisibility test for 7. The only way to be sure whether 7 divides evenly into both the numerator and denominator of a fraction is to try it. If the numerator and denominator are both small, and you know your 7 times tables, you might be able to see just by looking either that both the numerator and denominator of a fraction are divisible by 7, or that one is and the other isn't, or neither one is. Or you can use your calculator and divide both numerator and denominator by 7 to see if 7 divides evenly into both. Let's summarize what we have learned about simplifying fractions using the divisibility tests. The simplified form of a fraction is a new fraction that is equivalent to the original fraction and has the smallest possible numerator and denominator. To simplify a fraction, find whole numbers that divide evenly into both the numerator and denominator. It's best to first look at both the numerator and denominator to see if you can easily see a number that you know divides evenly into both. After that, apply the divisibility tests in the order 10, 5, 2, 3. After each simplification, it is important to check to see if another number might divide evenly into both the numerator and denominator. There is no simple way to see if a number is divisible by 7 or 11 unless either the numerator and denominator are small, so it is worth checking with a calculator. Simplifying a fraction can take some time, but with practice, one can learn to do it efficiently.